welcome back to the Healthy Returns Podcast. I am your host, Sharon Polsky, and we are going to be talking to Drake Kellas, and he is from NutriDyn. And NutriDyn is a supplement company that manufactures supplements that are appropriate for medical practices and gyms, and you can white label them. And they know that not all supplements are created equal. And so they have expertly designed, clinically proven supplements that really aid in better quality of life and helping you not only with your health and your wellness, but also help you with your goals. This is so important to Evolt because we know that we need to fill in the gaps in order to make our clients healthier. And this is actually why we have the supplement suggestions embedded in our Evolt infrastructure. And so we have actually teamed up with NutriDyn. They are one of our strategic partners to make getting white label supplements more accessible to gyms and our healthcare partners and all of our partners that we work with on a regular basis. But a lot of the organizations that we work with don't understand the effectiveness of creating a really robust supplement program. They definitely see it as a means to increasing their revenue, which is great, but they don't understand the difference between the supplements you get on Amazon and the supplements you get from a company like NutriDyn. And so that's why we think it's so important for us to have these conversations with companies like NutriDyn. And Drake is amazing. I've worked with him on a couple of other projects, creating white label supplements for companies, and he is a wealth of knowledge. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with Drake Kellas from NutriDyn. So I am super excited. I am going to welcome to the show Drake, and he is from NutriDyn. So Drake, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I kind of grew up in functional medicine. My dad had the largest integrative center in San Diego, and I was a football player, athlete, and I had a chance to go play college football. And long story short, I ended up leaving when I was done with sports, done with school, it was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do next in my life. And my dad connected me with a supplement company, probably about 20 years ago. And so I've been in the supplement space for the last 20 years. And the beauty of it is the company I worked with was actually started by the company that I'm currently with, NutriDyn. And so been work with physicians and doctors all throughout California, actually all throughout the country, but primarily in California and Southern Nevada. And, long story short, I love this industry because every day we get to help people get better. And, working for companies that care about quality, care about the people, care about the products that we are, recommending. And so I've been with NutriDyn for a little over a year now, and just really enjoy, number one, the way that they operate as a company, the family environment, their commitment to quality and to making sure that we have the best products out there. And the cool thing about it is that we're continuously making better and new products and just upgrading products. So
yeah, and that's what I love about NutriDyn. I work with them on multiple projects every single week. And I'm always so blown away by their ability to pivot and expand. But tell us specifically what kind of the NutriDyn model is, because I think it's something that my physicians and my gym owners don't actually quite understand. So tell us a little bit about NutriDyn, what they do. I know that they really focus on quality and excellence. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've been around for over 50 years. We kind of were the company that coined the term functional medicine with Dr. Jeff Bland. We were one of the first companies to come up with a detox product line, which actually I'm in the middle of a detox right now. It's kind of a time to reset. So, as we get into the summer months and so forth, as we're, I guess barely started spring, but, and then the cool thing about it is, we were a distributor of a big company, and what we recognized was that company kept getting sold off over and over again. And then the ingredients and the products were diluting because at the end of the day, you're trying to make more money for a shareholder. and you're losing the attention to detail and the quality and everything that really makes the products and the company and the ingredients the key proponent for patients to get better and for doctors to trust in what we're doing. So
So these are, we would say NutriDyn are like medical grade supplements. Is that true?
correct. Yep, medical correct. We are, GMP certified. So the cool thing about it is we're getting some of the best ingredients, and we're only distributing it through doctors and physicians. We also have the ability to do a white label or private label if there's a product you really like, with very low minimums, a 12 bottle minimum. So that's a real
Yeah, I mean,
big
that's
benefit.
what I love about it is that you guys have such good minimums that so many of the facilities we work with think that this is unobtainable for them to have a white label supplement program or have their own logos on their supplements or curate their own supplements that are specific for their members. And then I refer them to you specifically, actually, and they are so blown away and they are so happy with not only this massive book of supplements that you guys have that they can white label, but then you'll customize any formulation for them.
That's correct, and that's the beauty of it is that there might be a few tweaks here and there, and we could customize the formula for them if they need to, with still low minimums, depending on what it is. But yeah, I mean, the beauty of it is we want to always be on the forefront of science and research, and it's and every product that we have that comes out has that key piece in it. So we're not going to come out with something just because somebody says you should come out with it.
Yeah.
And we just recently came out our Akkermansia, which I know you're a big fan of. We've
I'm a
actually
huge fan of, yeah.
upgraded that again. We've made that even better for the next batch, and it's just such a great product. So once again, that's the beauty of it is that a lot of these companies have had these blockbuster products and they stay stagnant and they're not upgrading with the research and the science that is behind.
Yeah, there's no evolution. So they create a great product, but science is always improving itself constantly. And
Right.
so many of these companies are like, "Oh, I'm going to use protein because it's such an
Yeah.
easy example, right? I
Absolutely.
created this and everybody knows it. So I created this great protein, but it's just sitting here stagnant and they never evolve it. You guys have done so much evolution in all of your products.
Yeah, and even some of the products that we've had that were similar to what our previous when we were a distributor with, and having to upgrade products then and kind of make things on the fly and then come back to it and make sure, okay, did we get this right, or how can we make this better? And
Yeah, and then you guys also take feedback, like which I love. You take not only feedback from your customers, but you take feedback from consumers, which is really cool because a lot
yeah,
of medical grade is like, well, it's good for you. We don't care that it's gritty. It's good for you. We don't care that it tastes bad. You guys are always like, anytime I say, hey guys, guess what? This is the feedback I got. You're like, we're on it. And you do change it. You don't just say it.
right. And that's it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you could have this amazing product, but if the patient or the person who's consuming it doesn't like the taste of it, or the compliance goes down because of, to your point, grittiness, or man, that tastes nasty. We got to make it taste good and within the realm. And now there's so much new ingredients that you could get away with making a product that doesn't have any sugar in it or doesn't have different things but tastes good. I think it's great because when I first started, my dad would say, "Hey, this is the product that I want to start using with my patients. I want you to be the guinea pig." And it just
And you're like, I don't want to take that. It's terrible.
right. And that was it, right? And I mean, some of those different first formulas, you're going, gosh, how did they get away with people doing detoxes with that? But we've evolved so much. Now we're really going after, not just phase 1 or phase 2 of detox, but we can see phase 3 and balancing out heavy metal, getting rid of heavy metals and alkalinity, et cetera. So there's so many different things we can do to really kind of go after making the biggest change, the biggest effect for that patient.
Yeah, and I love that. So we talk about this in functional medicine a lot. We're starting to see this in health clubs about how do we fill in the gaps for all ultimate health and optimal longevity for our clients and our patients. And I love seeing that the gyms are starting to think about longevity as well, not just the functional medicine side of things. But how do we use supplements? We all know we can supplement protein, but not all proteins created equal. We all know that we can supplement multivitamin, but not all multivitamins are created equal. So where do we start? So if I'm just a functional medicine office or a gym or something, what are my like four must-have products to start with, and then and what is the purpose for my clients, and then where do we go from there?
Yeah, so I think you excellent point, excellent question. I mean, right now the supplement industry, it's $1 trillion industry, so it's not going away. It's only expanding. It's only growing. And really, what is it? We really need to know what we should take and what maybe we don't need to take. And oftentimes we see,
Yeah, because we're not millionaires. I can't take
right.
it. Believe me, I look at your book and I'm like, there's 50 things I would love to take. And I do call you and I'm like, hey, Drake, can you send me this? But there are 50 things I want to take. I can't afford to take 50 things.
Right.
So, as a gym owner or a longevity clinic, where do we start providing? And then as a consumer, where do we start buying? And then where do we go from there?
So here's kind of what I would say my Fab Four, the ones that I think are important. And to be honest with you, it all starts with diet. You have to have the right diet and exercise, which I'm sure those are things you consistently are
But I
preaching.
love that you're a supplement company telling me diet and exercise is first, and then we supplement, we fill in the gaps. And I
Yes,
love that
exactly.
you're saying that.
Okay, so let's start with the multivitamin. You really need a good multivitamin because most of the foods that you're eating or the environment that we live in a very toxic environment. I mean, we have more toxins than you'll ever see in between modern medicine and different things you're taking, whether it's the water you're drinking, the foods you're eating, even to vaccines you might be taking. There's so many different toxins out there. So you need something that, to your point, is going to fill in the gaps. And I would say multivitamin is really good. We have a really good
Okay, wait, let me ask you. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second.
Okay.
Why can't I get my multivitamin on Amazon? It's so cheap if I get it on Amazon. It's number one question I hear from people every day.
Okay, great question. Number one, most of the stuff that you see on Amazon is made to be cheap in the sense that the price is cheap and you're going to buy it because it's the cheapest one. But I once learned this from somebody who helped start one of the previous companies I was with, and they said the most expensive product is the one that doesn't work. And that's what ends up happening is we've now taken the multivitamin that is the biggest one out there. Starts with a C. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but you can go to Costco and you'll find it, or any of those big box places. And what we're creating is expensive urine. With that being said, though, you're not getting your body's not actually taking that in. It's like kind of looking and going, we don't know what this is, and they're throwing it out. So you really want to get key ingredients in there. You want to get the right minerals. You want to get the right vitamins in there. So what we have done, which I think is really cool, is we've taken the phytonutrient component of it, fruits and vegetables. So you have these antioxidants mixed with the fruits, with the vitamins and minerals. And it's really created what I would say is a robust multivitamin that does fill those gaps and gives you the best, vitamins and minerals in there. And we look at things like magnesium. It's a great mineral out there. There's 30 plus different kinds of magnesiums. I mean, people go, oh, I take Tums and I get magnesium. I mean, magnesium oxide is very, very different than magnesium glycinate. So yeah, maybe, or magnesium citrate. If you have constipation, yeah, go ahead, take citrate. But unless that's something that you want to do every single day, you really need to have the right minerals. Minerals are a really important aspect of this because minerals tend to go through our body really quickly, where if you're getting magnesium that's chelated, amino acid chelated, you're going to get a magnesium that's going to stay in the body. It absorbs more like protein, and then your body can get what they need, fill in those gaps. And, that's the way I look at it.
Okay, so first one is multivitamin.
Yep,
what's your next
number one?
Now, what's your number two?
Number two is D3. I'm a big fan of D3, and personally, I think D3 with K2 is the way to go, because a lot of people take D3, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. They'll get it in, once again, they'll get it on Amazon, and you're getting either a poor form of D3, or it's not, or it might be D2, or it might just be just a D and not have the K aspect of it. And therefore, what D3 and K work together. They work together to help from an absorption standpoint. And so we'll see people get testing for D3 and they're in the 10s and the 15s, and they're going, hey, I've been taking D3 my whole life. Why am I this low? And then when you add the K2, it's like, boom, the numbers really go up.
Yeah.
And I like 5,000 with a minimum of 45 micrograms of K2. You can go even higher in some of those. Some go too high. I don't think you need 150, 180, 300. But listen, every person's different, so you might need more, depending on the person. But this is
number three.
Yeah, this is general. So
Yeah.
So D3 5,000. with K2 is going to be my number two. Number three would be probiotics. You need to have a good probiotics because what it does is it helps regulate the microbiome. It helps get rid of the bad bacteria while cultivating the good bacteria. And when I look at probiotics, the ones we have are strains that have been specifically studied to be beneficial for gut health. And so what we look at when we look at like probiotics, some of these probiotics, it's like if you were a traveler and you were going on vacation to a city, the tourist industry wants you to stay there as long as possible. And they don't want you to come in and then check out the next day because now they got to get that room ready for before and after, et cetera. But if you stick around for, 6, 7 days or whatever, that's beneficial to the tourist industry. And it's the same thing with probiotics. We want those probiotic bacteria to stick around in our gut for as long as possible. And so, we have really great probiotics strains, et cetera. I mean, I think we have like 15 different probiotics. So as a whole, NutriDyn does a really good job of getting the right probiotics and getting ones that are identity strain certified, which means we know what that strain has done and so forth.
Amazing. And then what's number four? Because it was four, right? You had four.
Yes.
What were your top four?
Yes. So we got probiotics, we got vitamin D, right? We got a multivitamin. And then the last one is, I would say is, and you probably know what it is, I'm going to say fish oil. I'm a big fan of fish.
You don't even have protein in your top four that you think is important, which is, I'm going to ask that question next, why it's not. But fish oil, I agree, would be in my top four. I agree.
Yeah, so fish oils, because fish oils are anti-inflammatory, and unless you're eating a very, very clean diet, you're exercising really, really, even then, you're still going to have some inflammation. The only person I can imagine who probably doesn't need an omega-3 is somebody who's anorexic, and they probably need some omega-6s and 9s and so forth. But that's another story.
Very, very few.
Very few, right? And like I said, this is individual. So omega-3, we have many different forms of omega-3. The new research is coming out about these PRMs, pro-resolving mediators. And so for that person who is who goes really hard at the gym, they might be sore, or they're trying to increase that longevity and decrease inflammation. Inflammation is the killer of all this, right? So we got to decrease that inflammation. We have what we found in EPA DHA, which is omega-3s convert down to EPA DHA, or at least the best form of the omega-3 really is your EPA DHA. They convert further down into pro-resolving mediators, and that helps reduce inflammation. And so each fish oil is going to have a little bit of PRMs, but now what we're seeing is fish oil. We're adding PRMs to the fish oils because we realize that's some of the most important part. Now, when we talk about supplements, those are my core four, or Fab Four, if you will. That doesn't mean that I don't like protein, because I do think protein, especially for a gym population, absolutely. You want to increase your muscle mass, you have to take protein.
And also, if anybody on a weight loss journey, we've got to get them protein, because that's the first thing they stop eating, which is so bizarre to me. Like because they lower their calories, they stop eating proteins and fat. And I'm like, wait, insulin resistance, blah, blah, blah. But so yeah, let's talk about protein for a second, because this is a good one.
So it's funny because I have a son, he's a sophomore in high school. He's 6'4", he's now 225 pounds. He's getting recruited for football. We're actually going to Boise next week. He's getting recruited by Boise State. And what we have been needing to do is put weight on him. Well, in this way, so there's two different ways of, like, as we're talking about weight loss, you go, well, why protein? Because, and I think we got to understand that protein's different. Each person's, relationship with protein is going to be different. In his case, he's 16 years old. His metabolism is really, really fast. He's trying to get as much food and calories and protein in him because he's trying to gain weight. That's going to be very different than somebody who's 45, beginning menopause, or or even a man who might, they're
we call that male menopause these days.
Yeah, male menopause. Menopause, right?
Menopause.
So with that being said, we're it's a different goal, and so if you're not getting the protein, and quite frankly, we see it a lot in women. Women don't tend to get the protein intake that they need, and so then of course they're struggling with the weight loss. And that's why for me, I like detoxing because it strips that brown fat that it's like we have this glue that is stuck to these fat cells, and we might try to change our diet or exercise, but until you actually detox and we're stripping that glue off there so we can release those fat cells. And that's a great way to do it. And, with NutriDyn, we have a 10-day detox program that works really efficient.
And people can white label that 10-day detox program,
Yes,
which that I actually think is really cool.
yeah, and especially if at a gym, if you're a personal trainer and you're working with clients and they're going, hey, I need to make some changes. They're addicted to sugar. What we know is addictions typically take at least 24 days to change, or habits take about 24 days to change. So this is a good way to get somebody, hey, you want to make those changes? I'll ride the train with you, but the food and drinks going in the mouth is really the effect of why we are in these situations to begin with. So with that being said, that's why protein is important. And once again, getting the right kind of protein, right? I'm sure there's specific ones you like. I like grass-fed protein. To me is good. I like
Well,
New
I'm
Zealand
gonna
local.
I'm gonna throw it out there just
Yes.
because I'm talking to you.
Yes.
Your paleo protein, if you are not like if you're not vegan or lacto like your paleo protein, and everybody thinks it's so gross that we're encouraging people to drink beef isolate protein, is unreal. The absorption rate is amazing. I feel 100 times better. There's no stomach discomfort. I take a GLP-1. It makes me feel amazing. Like, I can't take a whey protein with a GLP-1. I would be so nauseous all the time. So but even before I took a GLP-1, I took your paleo protein, and it is unreal. It tastes great. It's not gritty. It shakes in a shaker cup. I could go on and on about how great your paleo protein is.
Well, I appreciate that. And we do have quite a bit of different variants of protein. We have pea protein, rice protein. We have the paleo protein. We have a whey protein. It's funny because as my son's trying to put on weight, the whey protein is perfect for him, and he's mixing up shakes, and now he's got all his buddies coming over here, and it's like these protein parties, and so forth. Like I said, his goals are different than somebody who's trying to lose weight, but and he's got people like, what are you doing? I mean, genetics helps too, because I'm a big guy as is. I'm 6'6", and so he's got that aspect of it, and so he's his goal is to get to about 240, and he's pretty ripped too, but he's in the gym lifting on a consistent basis. He's moving constantly. Like, it's I think oftentimes people say, oh, I take these supplements or I take this, but it's like everything, right? Like, you got to go to the gym, you got to be lifting weights, you got to do some aerobics, physical activity is something that has to be part of the program, right?
As well as the nutrition piece. All three of them work synergistically.
100%. And I'm learning even some of this, like where, maybe I got in a point in my life where, I'm not going to work out because I don't have time, or I'm not going to, or it was a terrible day today. I'm going to go drink some alcohol or a cocktail. And there's nothing wrong with these things in moderation, but we get to these points where it continues. And so for myself,
well, they hijack our goals in the long term, right? Like I always say, if I wallow in my self-pity today and have the beer every night when I get home just because the day was bad, at what point do I turn that around? Because if you gain a pound a week for 4 weeks, and then that's 2 months later is 8 pounds, I'm 5'3". That's a tremendous amount of weight on me. Right. And then it's so much easier to gain weight than it is to lose weight. I always come back to weight loss, but even if you're somebody who has a weight gain goal, you want to gain muscle, to like talking about your son or a lot of our gym people, they want to gain muscle. If you wallow in that self-pity because you had a bad day and you drink that alcohol, you're never hitting that goal. Right. And it's because it changes your testosterone production, your hormone balance. So I always talk about that piece of it because it's so important.
Yeah. And kind of get into also protein. Like I like the idea of supplementing protein because I don't think we're getting enough protein in our daily,
Oh, we're not. Nobody I know is eating 100 to 200 grams of protein per day. Nobody I know. I'm talking about like my bodybuilders are that I coach, but nobody in the gym is. Nobody, right. Not even a man is.
So I got a question. I'm seeing a lot of the stuff out there that's showing 40 grams of protein, 42 grams of protein per serving, 50 grams. What's your thought on that? I've always kind of thought it was a lower
So
number.
I will tell you, we don't absorb 40 grams of protein. So that like the I'm telling you protein science right now, which is
No, but
actually
this is
really
good.
funny.
It's a
So your
great
body
conversation.
is going to break down that into a Dalton, right? And if the Dalton is not a absorbable size, then it ends up coming out of us in waste, right? So it has to do with how high up the digestive tract we digest the protein versus how low down the digestive tract we digest the protein. So the more bioavailable the protein is, the higher up the digestive tract and the more usable it is for us to convert to muscle, right? So that's the number one thing that is most important. So people go to Costco, big box stores, and buy the on the go protein drinks. Every bariatric person has been told to do this. Everybody. And I come unglued. I'm like a crazy lady when it comes to this because they say, but it says 45 grams of protein. Well, it's in fluid, so it's denatured just because it's in fluid, so we know that. And so now we've cut that 45 grams to probably 35 grams. I'm just throwing out like
Yes.
hypotheticals.
Yep.
And then because it's very poor quality protein, and by the way, it also lived in a warehouse that was 120 degrees in Arizona or Waco, Texas. And it is going to make it then we went from 25 grams to 15 grams of protein because it's been denatured from the heat that it's in, including in an Amazon warehouse.
Yes.
And then by the time you actually took it into your body and it was digested, we're now down to 5 grams of protein versus the 45 grams it started with. So the quality of the protein matters. The way it's stored matters. The way it's transported matters. Also, the raw ingredients matters. If NutriDyn were picking up those raw ingredients off of the port of LA that got left there in 110 degrees weather in the middle of summer, it was denatured before it ever made it to your manufacturing facilities. So I'm a nutcase when it comes to protein. I tell my clients if they are not paying $100 a month for their protein is too cheap. And they hate that I say that. But look, eat a steak, eat eggs, you can eat your protein. I would rather have them use your top four and eat eggs and steak and chicken and good quality foods. So I'm kind of a nutcase when we talk about those, especially those 45. I love that you used 45 grams because we all know who that is. And it is my biggest pet peeve in the weight loss industry is that we keep telling people to drink and they're wasting a tremendous amount of money on this.
Yes, so that's I guess my point is that people they hear something, they say something you say, and instead of going to get the quality protein, they're at the big box stores and they can go get this one for half the price. Let's not forget that also they have sucralose in most of those, which is a terrible
Yeah.
sweetener. It is sucralose is essentially what they do is they burn the sugar and it's a byproduct of there. And we're seeing this rise in dementia and Alzheimer. At some point, the science is going to show that maybe there might have been all these, all the Diet Cokes in the 80s and 90s that are causing this dementia now. So you got to be really careful with these different sugars that we're using. And what we found is stevia, xylitol. There might be some side effects in the sense of how it tastes or whatnot. The newest one,
But your body gets used to that so quickly. It's only like the first couple that you do that you're
yeah,
like, oh, I don't like this. And then after you take it for a while or you add your almond milk with no
yeah.
carrageenan in it. I did not say oat milk for a reason because there's a tremendous amount of sugar in oat milk. But you add your like Ripple milk, which is pea protein milk, or you
Yep.
add your almond milk with no carrageenan in it. You really will see such good results, and the after taste kind of goes away very quickly from that.
Yeah, and that's the point is that, but they're also going to be like allulose is kind of a newer one, monk fruit. So you're
Monk
seeing
fruit's great, yes.
once again this new idea of research and science going, hey, these are better sweeteners than that of yesteryear, and the NutraSweets and the Equals, and and pretty much all the different sweeteners you see at a Starbucks or some kind of coffee chain that outside of sugar and raw sugar. But the point is that what we've done is we're trying to make it better and easier. Well, sucralose is such a sweet. It's so sweet, but it's so cheap, and it's to me. I anytime I see it, I just go. I don't care if it has 30 grams, 40 grams. I don't care if it's 30 bucks, 20 bucks. I'm not going to put that in my body or let my family put that in their body. I mean, my son, every single day, he's got all those different drinks lined up. And his football coach is like, oh, here you go. These are all, you can have this. And I said, quit touching that stuff. Your brain is worth more than that in there. And so, when he's on the go, we found some that don't have that are probably okay. But you got to be careful. I mean, once again, I think, reading ingredients, understanding ingredients is important.
Yeah, but that's where this has all gotten so confusing. And so that was part 1 of our supplements conversation with Drake Kellas at NutriDyn. And it was such a great episode that we actually split it in half. And so I want you guys to stay tuned for part 2, which will be next Tuesday. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Returns podcast. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe and like and share our episodes with your friends. Until next time, I am your host, Sharon Polsky. Stay healthy and stay happy. The Evolt podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The content shared here represents the views and opinions of the host and guests and should not be considered medical, health, or professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for individualized care from a qualified provider. Please consult with your provider before making decisions that may affect your health and wellness. Any statements about treatments, health protocols, or medications discussed are based on personal experience or professional expertise and may not be suitable for everyone. Always seek personalized advice from a licensed professional who understands your specific needs.